Alrighty, boys, back again with another story time. I know you guys have been seeing more aviation, not so much baseball, but there is going to be a baseball video tomorrow, I promise. But today, I think we're going to do another story time. So let's just hop into it today. Now, just as, a precursor of this story time, like I always like to do, I was heading from, and a little bit of, just a normal flight. Just like I can't really speak English anytime, actually. That's like, one of the main things about me. But I was heading from DFW in Dallas, Texas to EWR in Newark, my home airport, and I kind of experienced something a little bit interesting on the flight, and it was kind of, something we can laugh over. So, yeah, let's get into it. But before we do, make sure you leave a like on the video, subscribe down below, join my Discord, follow my Instagram, and follow my Twitter as well. Do it right now. Okay, so it was a Sunday afternoon, and we weren't staying exactly in Dallas. We were a little bit outside of it. We were about an hour and a half out, so we obviously had to get back to the airport for around our 3 o'clock flight to take us back home. Now, so the drive was normally there was nothing really terrible, like nothing terrible about or eventful, I should say, about like what happened in the airport, but it more happened when we got on the plane. So we drove to the airport, checked in, security, whatever, TSA. There was actually a kid that ran under the through without but that's just what kids do. But anyways, we got through TSA, blah blah blah. We went to get food and sat down at the gate. And in about, half an hour after we sat down, they started to call pre-boarding. And since, I am blind, and as you guys, some of you guys say in the comments, like, bro, don't make fun of blind people. Like, bro, please don't. Bro, I'm literally talking about myself. So that means you get to board early on flights. And as some people that know me say, I use my eye condition as a, just an excuse just to do stuff. So, they called pre-board, and I was going onto the plane when I see a woman getting taken on a wheelchair. And this is not, this has nothing, to do with the story. I'm not targeting people with wheelchairs in any way. I'm just pointing it out because that's, kind of what the story, it's part of the storyline. So whatever, I get on the jet bridge and just, get on the plane, do whatever. Put my bag in the overhead locker, and I'm seated right at the back. We didn't get good seats this time, and you know where you find the most kind of, interesting passengers? At the back of the plane. And, so yeah, we sat down, and, a lady comes, the same lady that was on the wheelchair being pushed on, takes the seat right in front of me. Now, it was five of us coming on this trip, but there's me and my sister were in run row, and it was a 3-3 configuration, and directly in front of the person who ended up sitting next to me, let's call her water bottle. No, that was a joke. Let's call this lady Deborah for the purpose of this story. So this Deborah lady, she was older. She was about 60-ish years old. I'm just estimating about at this point. But she takes a seat, and eventually the flight attendant comes in about after 5 minutes. We were just sitting there, we pre-boarded, so group 1 and 2, first class, economy premium on UAL. Just go take their seats in the front. So there's not really a lot of action happening in the back. So it's just me, my sister, this lady, and some other guy just by standing. And, yeah, it was a little bit, interesting when a flight attendant came over and told her that she had to move her seat. And she told the flight attendant in English, and that's going to be relevant for the purpose of this story, that very loudly and like almost shouting. It didn't sound like English. That okay, she would move her seat, whatever, just let her get her stuff and whatever. So yeah, the flight attendant just walked away, so she'd move her seat. Fast forward 10 minutes later, the flight attendant, same one, comes back and still sees her in the seat. And obviously this flight attendant's like, ma'am, we need you to move your seat, please. Someone's gonna have to sit there, and that's not your seat, that's on your boarding pass. And bro, I'm not kidding you when this lady screamed back at this flight attendant. And not, talked loudly. No, bro, literally screaming. Not like screaming in fear, but screaming almost anger just at this lady. And I don't even know what language. It had to have been German because German people get upset and yell a lot. Yeah, I'm just assuming it was German or some weird language that it wasn't even Spanish or some mainstream language that you can kind of piece bits together and like you know kind of just figure it out, kind of figure out what she was trying to say. It was like some random, not I wouldn't say random, but like that's not like the nicest word to use, especially when you talk like languages. But like a language that was not United States common at all. Did that make sense? I think so. Okay, so anyways, this flight attendant, let's just call the flight attendant. So the flight attendant walked away and Deborah stood up. Maybe a minute after, this flight attendant walked away. Maybe she was trying to, find someone who speaks that language or something on the plane, make a general call announcement. But I don't, this lady stands up and walks to the back of the plane. Not all the way far to the back, and we were at row 35 in the A320s. I had like their 40-ish rows. So we weren't that far, but she kind of like walks to pretty much to the back, but not to the back of where the flight attendants can see her, didn't pass the curtain, and walks past my seat next to me. I was in the middle, and my sister was in the seat on the right. And just dusts the seat off, almost like she was gonna sit there, but moves the buckle, puts it on the side, like between like the little gaps of the seats, and just walks away. And keep in mind that seat was empty. My seatmate that was actually supposed to be sitting there wasn't sitting there. But this lady, yeah, she just walked away, like I said, and she sat in the middle seat of her row in front of me. And apparently at the end she was supposed to be a couple rows up, but nobody like knew that at the time. So the people who, went to actually sit there were like went to go sit there obviously, and it was a couple, and what you usually do is that if you're 25A, let's just say, and someone's already in 25A and two people are traveling, you can just sit in B and C. It's not really that big of a deal. Like it's like, oh my, it's like, as long as you don't need to record the takeoff or anything, it's not the end of the world if you don't sit right in your exact, as long as you sit in your row. Flight attendants honestly don't care. But this lady, was in the middle seat, so what I just told you there couldn't have even been applied. And they asked this lady to scooch over, and she doesn't say anything. And they meaning the husband of like, or the boyfriend of like the two people traveling. And this lady didn't even move. Okay, that was kind of, an exaggeration. She did move, but she just sat there for a solid 10 seconds looking at him. The lady stood up and let them in their seat and took the seat next to mine. And I kind of give my sister the kick, like, oh, this is going to be a long flight. And at that point, like, right then, I almost wanted to just ring the flight attendant call button, like, this lady's seat? Because, I don't want to get screamed at in I don't know, what is some African language? I don't know. Someone in the comments educate me. But I don't know. At the time I thought it was German. I don't want to get screamed at in German the whole flight. But I tried just, not to notice it or anything. Like, just try to, like, act cool. Not, like, cool, like, flashy. But just, like, kind of just act normal, almost. If that kind of makes sense. But just, like, go on my phone. Just wait for them to just push back, take off, whatever. So, I'm just talking to my sister about I don't even know what. When I feel, a tap on my shoulder, it wasn't, like a nice, gentle tap, or, like, not even just a normal tap. It was a firm tap, and it, kind of hurt. So I was looking at my sister at the time, and she was the opposite way from this Deborah person, and she kind of gives me the look like, look behind you. And when I look behind me, I kind of see the funniest sight in the world, bro. I see this lady holding her phone towards me, trying to show me something. Now she wasn't even saying anything at the time, and I kind of just stare at her, just like I just asked, yes, can I help you? And she kind of just started screaming and tapping me and handed me her phone. I don't know if she forgot how to open her phone. I don't know if she forgot how to turn the brightness down. I don't know if she forgot her own password. I don't know what was going on. So I kind of just said, like, what? Like, is this your seat? And she told me, of course this is my seat. In English, but, still screaming at me. But, the flight attendant has to, walk up to the cabin to do a final check while we're still at the gate, just to make sure everything was okay. And she stops by our row and just says, and asks the lady sitting next to me, Deborah, to hand me her not me, to hand the flight attendant her boarding pass. And it wasn't her seat. So she says, "Ma'am, we need to move or we have to take you off this plane." She got up and moved. But yeah, everything went normal. Or so I thought. So she got up and moved her seat, so she kind of just went to her actual row, which was a couple rows in front of me. And from there on out, everything kind of, cruised. They did the safety briefing that nobody paid attention to. They pushed back, we got off the ground quickly and we were in the air. And when they were coming to pass around snacks, I noticed that the flight attendant, kind of just didn't, go to her row. She did, but she was also kind of like very like I wouldn't say timid, bro. It's like a different word that my English vocabulary can't even. Almost like not wanting to go there, but kind of has to go there because it's her job. But yeah. So that happened, and a little bit during the flight, we hear, you know, just we're just sitting down. You obviously hear the engines going and like just people just talking about random stuff. You hear a couple phones like very too loud, but it's not a big deal until you hear some lady screaming, and it happened to be the voice of Deborah. And the flight attendant comes over and just kind of looks around and just goes back to the back of the plane. And I honestly would have just kicked her off the plane in Dallas, bro. Like, you're gonna have a rowdy passenger, didn't move her seat twice. At least get the chief flight attendant to go, like, just at least say something to her, because she actually was not the chief flight attendant. The chief flight attendant's the one that makes the announcements. So yeah, guys, we ended up landing in EWR, and yeah, that was really it for today's story time. And so let's cut to the outro. Anyways, guys, I think that's gonna do it for today's video. Hopefully you did enjoy. If you did, be sure to press the like. Anyways, guys, I think that's gonna do it for today's video. Hopefully you do enjoy. If you did, be sure to press the like button. Also, hit subscribe down below. Join my Discord, follow my Twitter. Links all in the description. And leave video ideas in the comments down below. That's going to be a new one. Or just tweet them at me at Disco. Just, look at my Twitter and just, yeah, do that. Anyways, guys, on that note, don't become blind. If you do, make sure to search you to help fix you. 3, 2, 1, I am done, and I will not be able to see you in the next one. That's it for me, because I gotta go pee. Peace. And let me know if you like that new twist to the outro. I think it's actually pretty funny, but if you guys want me to go back to the old outro, maybe just the Don't Become Blind. If you do, make sure to search to help fix you. Just that outro that I used to do, please tell me. But yeah, Don't Become Blind.